Welcome to the Leading Conversations podcast, sponsored by the Excel Leadership Network. On each episode, JD Pairing will have conversations with church planting pastors and leaders from around the country. You can learn more about how to connect with Excel at the end of this podcast. Let's join JD now and listen in on this leading conversation.
Well, welcome to another Excel Leading Conversations podcast. Today, I'm really excited to have Strongman Andrew Morrison from Colorado with us. Thanks for being here, Andrew.
Yeah, JD, thanks, man, for having us. For me, I guess.
Hey, before I get into how you came to Jesus and all that stuff, tell us about the Strongman competition stuff that you're involved in?
Yeah, I do the Strongman competitions nationally, just here in the United States and stuff. But I basically go around picking up really, really heavy things and then putting them back down. I started back in 2014, I think, after I shattered my ankle in rugby, and then just needed something to get back into doing. And so I walked into a gym and I saw a guy about the size of a door frame, and just started talking with him, typical bro crush. I was like, this guy's massive and stuff, and started talking to him and stuff. And he was like, yeah, why don't you come down to the Strongman gym? And started going down there and lifting with these guys. And it turned into it was a really cool community. And it turned into my kind of silo where I was able to start. I'm known in the Strongman community as the preacher man. They just kind of know me. I get to pray at some of the competitions and open them up and stuff. And it's been kind of my witness area of when young men come, I've turned my whole garage into the gym and everything, with the big old giant Atlas stones. And I have 3 or 4 giant steel logs that you lift and stuff that we work out in, and I'll have guys come over, work out. And there's something about when you're working out with these things and guys are sweating and all gross and everything, that they start opening up and talking and stuff. And it's kind of been my little thing. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Is it the typical next step for an ex-rugby player? Is that how it works? You go right from rugby into Strongman?
Right into another thing that'll hurt you. Yeah, I don't know if that's the typical thing. I think most people usually just stop, but my wife says there's something wrong with me. So yeah, that's.
And aren't you the Colorado champion?
I've won a few Colorado competitions and stuff like that. It's hard for me to say that I'm the Colorado champion when there's a lot of really strong guys here in Colorado. Specifically Brian Shaw, who's like the world's strongest man, lives in Colorado and stuff like that. But on a local competition, I'm able to do fairly well competing in Colorado against a lot of guys here in my weight class and stuff. So this June, I'll be going to nationals, competing at the national level against the top 50 guys in the nation and stuff, in the USS Federation, seeing how I can hold up against them and stuff. So that'll be fun. Wow.
So our very own Benaiah Strongman is with us today. Hey, yeah. Andrew, talk about just growing up. How did you come to Jesus?
Yeah. So I grew up in a small little town, Elizabeth, Colorado. And Elizabeth, Colorado it's one of those towns where the cows outnumber the people. There's more bars and churches than anything else.
Where is that?
It is. So if you're in Denver proper area, it's about an hour, 15, hour and a half southeast.
Oh, east. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's southeast of Parker, Colorado itself, which is probably the next big town that anyone knows of. And so it's one of those, every time a road got paved, the whole city got together and threw a parade. It was looking back, it was weird. It's a weird little town that I grew up in and stuff. But, I grew up out there. I'm a Colorado native. And my mom was Catholic, but a bad Catholic. She wasn't good at it. And my dad was Gnostic, believed in a God, but that was about it. And so grew up with a very basic religious background, but really, we didn't really do much at all with it. And so I just really didn't really believe much of anything around this stuff. But it wasn't until middle school when I took up wrestling that my wrestling coach, who was a youth pastor too, he had this deal on Wednesday nights. If you went to youth group, you could miss conditioning practice because he had to go run youth group. And as a heavyweight wrestler, I was like, oh, heck yeah, I'm all for that. And so I'd skip conditioning just to go to this church thing. And that's where I first started hearing the gospel and started seeing what this Christian life thing was all about, and started hearing about the grace of God. And I started attending this and started belonging to this group of Christians, essentially, without really knowing what it really meant until I went to one of those big event gatherings, Choir the Fire. And that's where I accepted Christ there. And my youth pastor saw me go down, raise my hand, but the real transformation took place after that, because he saw I raised my hand, and he took me under his wing and was like, hey, I know you like football. I know you like wrestling. Why don't you come work on my farm? Because it's Elizabeth. And he's like, I'll pay for your sports if you work on my farm. And that was the discipleship model that he took me under of so I got to see what it looked like to be a man of God, what quiet times looked like, how he argued with his wife, how he apologized to his wife, how he raised his kids, what integrity looked like. Like he showed me discipleship, what life on life discipleship looked like in that process. And that's where real transformation took place for me, was working on this man's farm. And that was just like working for him. That wasn't the real thing. The real thing for him was actually discipling me in what a man of God and what following Jesus actually looked like.
That's an incredible story. I love the entering into God's rest, not having to do conditioning.
Yeah.
My yoke is easy. Come to that. Well,
yeah.
Wonderful story. Talk about your call to ministry, and then maybe specifically church planting.
Yeah. So my mentor through these years in his discipleship process, all of a sudden, like one year, he was like, hey, go to this thing called VBS. And I was like, I don't even know what this is. Like, I didn't grow up in church world at all. And it's just a bunch of kids, and kids are like hanging around me and all that stuff. And I'm just loving it. I'm loving doing all this stuff. And he starts seeing that I have this gift of like leadership and teaching. And so he starts putting me in more of these things, just volunteering me, saying that it's part of the work scholarship. And so I'm giving these opportunities and seeing that I have these, spiritual gifts in these areas. And pretty soon when I'm 18, I'm like, you know what? I think I feel called to be a pastor. And I'm talking about this. It's like, yeah, I've known this for like years, like you're supposed to be a pastor. And so we start talking about an internship and residencies. And at 18, I become a youth pastor at a small church in Elizabeth. Terrible idea. You should never hire a 18-year-old youth pastor. And so, that started my journey into ministry. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot of what not to do, and went from there to another youth ministry in Aurora. And for years, I just thought that, I was supposed to be a youth pastor. And a lot of this was bivocational. I would work part-time or work full-time. And eventually it was just working full-time because got married, had kids, and youth pastors don't get paid nearly enough for that. And so just really felt called of like, youth ministry is all there is to it. But multiple people were like, man, I think you should plant a church. And I was like, nah, this isn't really my thing. I don't think I should like do church planting. I love youth. I love teenagers. And then in 2015, I had a very vivid dream about a town in Elizabeth called Westminster, Colorado. And so, and then the next day, my wife had a very vivid dream about Westminster, Colorado. And so she went out and kind of drove around the area. And then I started driving around the area, and we were just like, man, I think God's calling us to go do something here. And so we went out, prayed about it, started serving in that area, and joined a church plant there. And then a couple of years later, we were like, nope, God has not called us to actually church plant in Westminster, Colorado. We went through a lot of different church herd and some church things through that process, but we still believed God had called us to actually church plant. And so then we started exploring what that actually looked like to really church plant, and where we should church plant. And we got connected with Jay Nichols, and he actually walked us through a tap process of like, well, I see you guys are called to church plant, and what that should look like. Why don't you actually find an area that is receptive and what that should look like? And so I put together a team of guys that I have discipled throughout the years, and we started evaluating the areas, and we found out why we weren't supposed to plant in Westminster was because, man, it was so saturated already with churches. That's why it wasn't very receptive to a church plant and to another one. And so, but we found this area called Commerce City that had tripled in size within just a few years. We were like, man, what is going on over here? And so we started exploring the area, visiting it. We saw that there were only a few hundred churches in this area of a demographic of 72,000 people. And a lot of them were denominational churches, Lutheran, charismatic, and so Catholic. And we were like, man, there's something going on over in this area. It's growing. And there's not a whole lot of churches that are coming up in this area, and there's a need. And then we found an area specifically called Reunion, Colorado, which was where all the growth was happening inside of this suburb of Commerce City. And there's only 4 churches for a demographic of 42,000 people within a 15-mile radius of this demographic. And so we started meeting in the parks, talking with people, getting to know people in the area. We started doing a Bible study, and this was all coming place in 2020. And, as we started meeting in there, we started getting more and more connections. And then we met with a coffee house that was actually a nonprofit coffee house there. And that's when they started opening up the doors of like, hey, you guys should meet in here. Like, we would love for you guys to actually meet in this coffee house on Sunday nights. And so that allowed us to start opening up, and we've started building our launch team. We've solidified our launch team, and now we've been meeting in this coffee house for about 10 months now. And we have a solid group of about 15 to 20 individuals that have been meeting pretty consistently in this Reunion in this Reunion area right now. So,
well, I would just want to put a plug in for the TAP process, the target analysis process that Jay Nicholas puts together. If you're interested in that, check us out at excelnetwork.org, because I don't think anybody would go to Commerce City. It's just a strange name of a town.
It's in Colorado. It's like the butt crack of Denver. Like, no one would ever have looked at it because it's just gross. Like, in general, like, you would not look at it. And without this process of the TAP study, 100%, there's much prettier places. There's much other areas that people would look like it's growing. But yeah, without that TAP process, like, and we've looked and we've gone through other church planting networks, and there's nothing, honestly, that they've done. Like, there's date your cities type of things where you go and visit the city and stuff, which is fine. But the TAP process really is so phenomenal of like just really seeing how receptive an area is, how much of a need is an area in there. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. So check that out. Now, I know that heading up to 2020, you were pushing it pretty hard, and you had something happen to you as you were getting ready to get this church off the ground.
Yeah. So as soon as that coffee house opened up, I saw that as a sign of like, hey, you know what? We need to launch. Let's just launch a church plant. Let's have this all go and everything. And so I started going at my typical type A personality of 120, 150 miles an hour and stuff. This has been my pattern in life for years. And actually 3 days from now, on the 7th of February, I had a Widowmaker heart attack. Or of April, I had a Widowmaker heart attack. And
it obviously didn't make a widow because you're still
here.
Here.
Luckily, yeah, it has like a low survival rate, but by the grace of God, I had finished a workout. I was like, man, like, I just don't feel right. My ears are burning. I thought I was having a little bit of an asthma attack, so I took an inhaler. And I was just laying on the ground, and my wife just got back from her parents, and we were supposed to go out to dinner. And she was like, what are you doing? I was like, I just don't feel good. And so she put her smartwatch on me, and my pulse was all over the place. And she was like, we need to go to the hospital right now. And so we got in the ambulance, we got in the car and started driving. And that's when I felt my body starting to shut down, like literally felt it starting to close down. And I turned to my wife and I said, I love you, Hannah. I don't think I'm going to make it. And she pulled over, called the ambulance, called 911. And they were luckily 1 block away on a false alarm, got to us so fast, got to the hospital within 30 minutes, and they finished the procedure within another 30 minutes. And so the docs, everyone like that was still shocked because young, healthy guy. They're like, why? Why did this happen? And
how old were you at the time?
33.
33, widowmaker heart attack.
Yeah. And so it was something they were like, man. So they, all sorts of tests, all sorts of things, trying to figure out why. And the number one thing that it came back to was stress. Which I was like, I don't feel like I'm a very anxious person. They're like, no, you do too much. You need to chill out, which I would have never thought of like, oh, this is like a serious issue. But this is becoming more and more of an issue inside of America, where young individuals are dying from heart attacks because of the amount of stress, because stress builds a lot of cholesterol. Stress keeps you up and keeps away from sleep. And sleep has been like, lack of sleep has been a proven issue of, these heart attack issues and strain on the heart. And so they're like, you need to chill out. And so immediately my team, I have an amazing team around me who was like, all right, no, we're putting everything on hold. We're launching way slower. We're going to launch in this small discipleship model that we're looking at, and you are slowing down. And so we've taken on Sabbath approaches. We've put up a lot more boundaries around that, making sure that I do sleep, getting rest, and just actually really like just enjoying and slowing pace down, eliminating hurry, as John Mark Harmer would put it, in all of our life. So it's been a huge, they say that like church planting, the first year is for the church planter. And so I'd say like that was a pretty solid first year of like, yeah, hey, you need a solid first year of learning right there, of chilling out.
That's an incredible story. So does picking up heavy stuff help or hurt? How does that work?
Yeah. At first they were like, man, we don't think you'll be able to lift again, which was like heartbreaking to me because I've been lifting since I was like 15 and stuff. And so I was like, man, this is going to like destroy me. But we went through cardiac rehab and everything. And they're like, your heart's in crazy good health. And again, that's why they were like, we don't think this is anything else but stress. And so through cardiac rehab, I graduated out of that early and everything. And like, yeah, you can go back to normal lifting and everything. And so they want me to stay active. They want me to stay competitive. They want me doing everything and staying as physical as possible, because obviously like the more active I am, the better it's going to be, as long as it's not like, a high stressed environment that's eliminating like sleep and hurry and all those things that would cause more of the anxiety and panic and those type of things that, are bad for you. So.
Man, hey, Andrew, what is one change you've made then in the last couple of years?
A big change that we've really made has been around actually setting up Sabbath itself. And it's basically on Friday nights. We don't do anything work, church related at all through Saturday, all the way through Saturday night. So from Friday to Saturday night, don't do anything. I finish up work. We usually have a good time together as the family. We'll have an easy dinner that doesn't take a whole lot of prep. Often we'll go out to eat. So we kind of work that into our budget to make sure that we can work something like that out. And then I'll sleep in often on a Saturday morning. And then I'll do stuff that is restful to my soul on Saturdays, which is often for me a good long workout with some people that I really kind of enjoy. I'll read some books, like not preparing for my sermon, which on a Saturday is for pastors is really, really tough. Of like,
yes.
I'm not going to stress about it. I'm not going to worry about my sermon. I'm not going to read anything about my sermon. We're going through Philippians, and as tempting as it is for me to try and read through Philippians, it's like, nope, I'm going to read anything else that is just, refreshing to my soul right now. And then, just relaxing with the family, going for a walk. I'm more of like a physical doing things type of guy, that I really kind of enjoy doing stuff. So I love having people over. So having people over is a huge thing. Kind of balancing that out with my wife too, who is more of an introvert, who doesn't really she recharges by herself. So we kind of find different ways to kind of make sure we kind of recharge each other and things like that too. So we found ways to kind of protect our Sabbaths. We don't hang out with people that drain us. So if there's people that absolutely, you have people in your life that are that will just absolutely drain you, that don't recharge you. And so it's those people we don't spend our Sabbath with, and sometimes that's even family, close family members that we know and stuff, that they're not going to recharge us. And so we don't allow that kind of on our Sabbath. Our Sabbath time is strictly just to recharge and get ready for the rest of that week.
Well, that's great. The classic Friday evening to Saturday evening Jewish Sabbath. Hey, two quick last questions. Hey, if you could give one piece of advice to leaders, what would it be?
Man, my top advice right now to leaders would be to really hurry is your biggest enemy. It's the biggest enemy in all of church right now. Hurry in your own self of feeling like, man, you're missing out on that you're missing out, that you're missing the mark, that you need to hurry and do more for your church, that you need to hurry and do more to get ahead, and your church isn't growing fast enough. So there's that hurry within yourself, but then the hurry in the people, in your disciples, feeling like you have to hurry and mature your disciple, that you have to hurry that person along, and you're not responsible for that. You point them to Jesus. Jesus was never hurried in anyone's growth process. He's not hurried in your process, and you don't need to be hurried in that process either. And so we just have to be dangerously aware that hurry is our biggest enemy. We do that with our kids. We try to hurry our kids they just learned how to flip over on their back. Let's hurry and teach them how to crawl. Let's hurry and teach them how to walk. It's no, just enjoy those moments. We have to eliminate that hurried mindset,
Well, great. Well, I want to hurry up and get this over with. Hey, my last question, thank you for being with us, is I know you've got a competition coming up here. I think it's in June, right?
Yeah.
Tell us one of the competitions that you're going to be involved in, one of the things you're going to be doing as a strongman.
Yeah. So one of the lifting events is a mammoth bar deadlift, and it's a deadlift that's the bar is 10 feet long, so it's much longer than a normal barbell. Okay. And it has more of a whip in it, which makes it bend a lot more, which is more difficult because then it moves and shakes a lot more on it. And it's a raising bar deadlift, which means it starts at 675 pounds and then goes up by 30 pounds each weight there. So I'll be starting a deadlift at 675 pounds, and kind of going up from there. I just pulled at my gym on Instagram there at a 625 pound bar. So got a couple more weeks to slowly move up. I'm aiming to try and hit about 7 to 750 at nationals is what I'd like to hit there. So.
That's crazy. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And will that be on television? Will that competition be?
It'll be on YouTube and those type of things. You'll be able to watch it there. So
okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'm old school. I want ESPN. Yeah. Well.
That's for the big boys. The big boys are still on ESPN and all that stuff. They're there. This is just a small town, still small level stuff there. So.
Okay. Well, thanks for being with us. I feel like I'm going to go lift something really heavy and hopefully not hurt my back. I'll take it slow. Thanks so much, Andrew, for being with us today.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
God bless.
God bless, man.
Thanks for joining the Leading Conversations podcast. We hope that you found it both helpful and encouraging. At Excel Leadership Network, our focus is on the church planter rather than the church. If you'd like to find out more about us, visit our webpage at excelnetwork.org. strongman.org. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. See you next time with another leading conversation.